All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, it is a little chilly out there this morning. Nice clear sky. Certainly help with that. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good on this Thursday as well, as we are getting ready for our next system to roll in and its potential impacts, likely impacts we'll have for the weekend, which will vary depending on location and time of day. I know we have a lot of events taking place this weekend, so location and timing is everything. And there's some positive to still work with here. So it's not all bad news for any weekend plans. You just have to pay attention to some of those finer details of when the weather will try to take a change for the area and adjust accordingly. And as long as you do that, you'll be in fine shape. All right. So let's start. First off, as always, you guys can comment on our social media pages, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. You're all available for you guys if you want to comment. As I'm already seeing, there's our snow lover on YouTube. Hello, Les. Time is getting closer each and every day. I agree. This winter is going to be it's going to be a weird one, guys. It is going to be weird. And I'm not supposed to tell you all details. I promise I wouldn't do it until Halloween night when the winter forecast comes out. But it is looking weird. That's all I can say. Not that should shock you, because that's the way the past few years have been, either dramatic or nothing at all, which in a sense is also dramatic for winter around here. But again, I'll go into all detail of that in the coming days, unless you're throwing me off track there. All right, quick update, by the way. At All International, it's kind of a wild morning there. The lines got very, very long. Thursday is the busiest day for travel in Louisville. Most airports, it's Thursday. But today was really rough out there. So hopefully your friends and family got out on time this morning. Hopefully there's not too much of a backlog for the rest of the day. But safe travels, everybody. Still got some fall breaks going on. So a lot of folks have been wondering out and about. All right, here is the drought updates. This looks like the same exact map that I showed you last Thursday when these updates come out. Moderate drought, just about everybody into wave country. But look how rough the country is doing, though. Ouch. That's a good chunk here that's in a drought status. There's only a few states that do not have anything. In fact, they're mainly in New England. Everyone else has got at least some portion of its state into a drought status, especially down into the deep south. Look at Texas, Louisiana, all the way to the far end of the scale. This reminds me of our, 2010 was this way, 2012 was this way, even 2017 we had a drought scenario. So we've had some really rough years in the past 10 to 20 years for sure, but down there it's really rough. Now, here's the good thing. It is an El Nino type setup that'll be developing this winter that would favor for them to get more rainfall than normal. So hopefully this will turn around. Usually that's how it goes. It's like a rubber band effect. It gets bad for a while, then repairs itself, then it gets bad again. It's just the way, especially climate works. in our latitude. And California on the West Coast is a perfect example. Sometimes they go years without much in the way of rain, and then suddenly it's nothing but a mess. But unfortunately, the mess they usually get is like 3 days long. But it helps. It helps in the longer term. Okay, for our area, again, the moderate drought is in place. We will have the ground sampled on Tuesday, but I do not expect it to be a much different looking map. What was that, Les? I agree about the oddness of the weather pattern. El Nino is not behaving as you would expect and not getting as strong as the models predicted. A couple things on that, Les. You're right. It is at a 1.5. For those of you keeping track on the score, you get to 1.5. You're dealing with a strong type of El Nino. It's technically actually 1.3, but it will get to 1.5. And when you get to a 2, which is what some of the stronger El Ninos are on a scale point system, that's when the most intense weathers happen. But it's not the only factor that will be at play this winter at all. I think it's getting too much attention. And again, I'll explain why coming up in the next few weeks. Unless you did it again, you threw me off. All right. See, snow is what I really want to talk about, but I got to wait until we get to Halloween, and then I'll talk about snow every single day. Even if there's not any on the way, I will still talk about it on the blog because that's when Snow Talk officially starts. But until then, we got this boring rain talk, blah, blah, blah. It's not as exciting. But this is, on a serious note, we need rain out of this, right? What stands out to you guys when you look at this radar? Something really should stand out to you. This is a low pressure with a warm front and a cold front. But does it look right to you all? Because when you look at the radar trends, you see the rain across Chicago, northern areas of Indiana. You see the rain back into Iowa, and then the snow back into the Rockies, which should stand out. And there's a bit of a delay. So I'm asking this question basically in a rhetorical fashion because by the time you answer, I've already moved on. But either way, this is not featuring what you normally would expect when it comes to, whoops, I hit the wrong button. Hold on 1 second. Okay, it'll kick back in. Sorry about that. Typically, we run into a band of thunderstorms, right? Fronts, especially the cold front portion of it. I mean, this is normal for a warm front. Yep. All right, we'll take that. There's your core low pressure. All right, you got your rain near that. That makes sense. In fact, actually, there's a little more over here. But there's not much of a definitive cold front side of this as far as rain because the amount of moisture being fed into the system is underwhelming, which is not unheard of. But remember the drought map I showed you down into Louisiana. Yeah, they just had rain move through there, but they don't have a very humid setup on the land portion. In the Gulf of Mexico, most of the flow is heading east, not north. So because it's not moving up 65 and straight into the system here, we just do not have a very intense low pressure that can produce a lot of not only rain, but a lot of severe weather. Now, that's a good thing because a week ago when I first talked about the system, it looked like it could produce severe weather. But there were some questions about the tropical feature in the Gulf, whether or not that would mess it up or not. Indeed, it has messed it up enough to where we are not getting a full-on moisture transport into the system. So the bummer to that is the rain chance is not looking very high. In fact, I've actually narrowed it down a little lower. Oh, 1 second, got a spammer. Hold on 1 second. No, I didn't even put her on the screen. What? How did she get promotion like that? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. They've been really bad here lately. And on my phone, too. Maybe I've been hacked. If you notice that, just nonstop messages, stuff like, hello, we want to buy your house. I'm like, okay, fine. Go ahead. Anyway, as you can see there, that's the lack of moisture that we're seeing there across the Plain States, which is an important factor on the severe weather because it's really going to be confined much more around the low pressure itself. This is a relatively small zone for severe weather today, and it's mainly going to be into Nebraska. It's a slight risk. Their bigger threat actually there is going to be the tornado potential today because of the spin of the low moving in. So they've got just enough there. That's where all the storm chasers are going to be. Is going to be in Nebraska today, tracking that severe weather event. But for us, by the time the low and the somewhat cold front do move into the area, the severe risk has been dwindled. You can almost see the shape of the flow as it moves into the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. This is a low-end marginal risk, but this is only here because this is happening during the max heating of the day, Friday. By the time it arrives into our area, which would be over here, it will be Friday night. And that is not a prime area because for fuel, we do not have the sun out. So there's not enough really on the ingredient side to kick up severe weather. Pretty typical for us, just based on timing of these cyclones that move through the Midwest. That usually happens, that we end up being the nighttime portion of the system, and this one's no different. So not worried on the severe side. That's good. The only downside to that is because we're cutting down on the thunderstorm potential, that means you're cutting down on rainfall rate, which would make a difference on trying to get some rain into a very drought-stricken area. But when you reduce the thunderstorm rate and take the thunderstorm out of the equation altogether, you end up with very light rain, and that will be spotty at best there. Okay, so let me explain how this is going to look on future casts, all right? Today is beautiful, gorgeous outside, soak up today, lower 80s expected, a lot of sunshine, a little breezy this afternoon, but just fine, no problems. We get into tonight, no problems. Friday the 13th, daytime, no problems. Now, the clouds will increase throughout the afternoon, so it's not going to be as pretty as today. But as far as how it feels outside, yeah, it'll feel just about the same on your Friday. We get into Friday night, actually Friday evening. This system is going to have much more of its moisture closer to the low. Again, not so much down the front. So when you see it approach here, as we head into tomorrow afternoon, you can almost see how the clouds want to. They want to feed in. They surged up there, Kentucky. They want to build into the front, but it's just not enough of a window. It's too short of a time frame to really make a difference. So anything that can pop on the radar Friday early evening is going to be found here. Indiana, near I-64 in Kentucky. I guess Louisville could be included in that, but I think it's a low-end risk. But don't be surprised if you spotty showers pop in the late afternoon, early evening time period. I'm talking about before even sunset. We could see that develop. And that's just only because moisture is increasing and it's trying to react to where it can, and it has to get as close to the low as it can before it can even pop anything on the radar. So by the time it makes that journey up north past 64, it will then enter the zone, and then you should start seeing a little speckling, little freckles of showers pop. But what about the actual front? Well, it's over here around St. Louis, and you can see as it moves in, here we are at 11 o'clock at night, and still looking for it, and then it moves in about 3 a.m. There's just not much there, guys, not much there. There's a chance this entire thing could fall apart, and we may not get much rain at all out of this. So that is a big bummer. All right, so that's your Friday the 13th setup on the storm side. Now, once we get into Saturday the 14th, just as popular, there is a couple things to point out here. This is where we have a lot of events taking place. This is where the low pressure is going to be spinning as we head into late Friday night, early Saturday, located not far from St. Louis. There is good support, really good support, actually, of a clearing that will happen in advance of the low pressure itself, the comma head, if you will, that wraps around. So after the front passes by, roughly about midnight or so, the wind will kick up. Then there will be a period of clearing. Now, that clearing should time out to where we end up with a lot of sun when you wake up Saturday morning. This is good for a lot of the events happening, including the Alzheimer's Walk, which will be at Slugger Field. Tawana Andrew, by the way, is emceeing the event. I believe it's at 9, and the walk's at 10. So that's good. Timing there would allow for a sunny Saturday morning. However, and temperatures, by the way, will respond to that. I mean, they should shoot well into the 60s. There can be a chance we get in the 70s Saturday morning through lunch. Once we get to about 12, 1 o'clock on Saturday, it'll look like the spaceship from Independence Day. A big shield of clouds will kind of just roll in from Indiana and West Kentucky. You should be able to see it looking in the distance because it will be very clear before it arrives. Once that cloud shield moves in, two things will happen. One, the wind is going to ramp up. Strong wind gusts, 30, 35 miles per hour. Two, the thermometer will begin to drop. So our high for Saturday is going to be met roughly 12, 1 o'clock, and then we'll ease down into the 50s with a strong wind and even some light drizzle and light rain developing Saturday afternoon and evening. So a very changeable Saturday. You'll wake up Saturday thinking, all right, this is great. We've got this under control. And by 4 p.m. on Saturday, like, oh, no. Oh, no, this is going so good. So Saturday is just kind of a weird day. All right, nothing dramatic as far as severe weather or anything like that, but it will, if you're not ready for that change, it can catch you off guard. So make sure that includes what you wear for the day and how you dress, because, again, there's a chance we could shoot into the 70s before it moves on by. Then we deal with the lighter rain for a while off and on behind the system. All right, this is the model output from the GFS. Let me get this a little closer. I love showing this stuff because it's some of the data we look at on behind the scenes, right? And you can really see the wind field. I'm trying to see my cursor itself. All right, if we get into tomorrow night, that's going to be roughly right in through here. So this would be Saturday, Friday night to Saturday. That's when the wind begins to ramp up. And there's your gusty wind as it continues throughout Saturday afternoon and evening. The temperature, if you look carefully, you can see where we've got temperature. Actually, GFS is wanting to get us into the 70s early on there, and then even a jump into the 60s as we head into Saturday, midday, and then there we go in the afternoon. Temperatures will then begin to fall into the evening hours. So there's pretty good support, but what you really notice here, this is the moisture column. There is more yellow than green showing up, indicating the air is just so dry, which is not the best of things there to see that. All right. So anyway, that's some of the data just kind of backing up some of the data we're looking at for the trends to get that clearing and the wind to come into play as we head into the afternoon. All right. So that's the setup all the way through your weekend. Sunday, by the way, will feature a cloudy day, drizzle, light rain, breezy. Sunday is definitely a nap day. Definitely a nap day. But even Saturday afternoon could be a nap day. Olivia, I thought this was supposed to be a heavy rain event. Well, could have been a week ago. It could have been. Getting the moisture from that tropical system was key on trying to get them to phase, and they just never wanted to like each other. In fact, the tropical system's already off the Carolina coast. It's already leaving town. So this poor thing that's moving in now just doesn't have a chance. So that's the reason why it will not be a heavy rain event for us. It will stay cool and chilly for the first part of next week. The main low moves off the coast, but we're going to get this secondary trough that kind of wraps around here into the Great Lakes and dives into our area. This is going to keep us overcast, 50s for highs, drizzle, light rain, although even the modeling's backed off a little on the amounts with that. It looks very, very light. As soon as it moves out of the way, though, which will take about 3 days to get it out of here, we then have another system that is going to move in that is going to be, once again, try to give us some rain showers toward next Friday or even toward next weekend. We're in a bad timing here on weekends with these fronts moving in, but that looks to be the case with a little bit of a tropical influence there in the Euro. It's interesting. Something you'll see more of in the coming weeks, but it keeps us cool, rather cool. And that looks to be the case all the way to about the 22nd. I did see some long-term data toward Halloween that does look interesting, but I'm going to hold off on that until tomorrow's blog update. So make sure to tune in for that. There's some more things I want to look over before I get into the weeds on that one. So, all right, so here's the general trend over the next 10 days. Again, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's where it starts. Looks good. There's the drop as we into Saturday and Sunday. We'll kind of stay in a little bit of a trough there, a little bit of a dip. And then we try to come out of that. And as we do, the next system moves in and tries to reset us. Although the one next weekend right now doesn't look to be overly cool at the moment. 60s instead of 50s. But we'll see. All right. What was that, Kevin? Taylor Swift is at well, she's not at Sourback. Sorry. Her concert, the movie, is playing at Sourback Sunday. Yeah, I think overall it would be a very light rain or a drizzle scenario, and that would taper down every time we get into sunset on each day that I'm showing you there. So Kevin, overall looks good. It's just gonna be chilly, but that's fine. It's good snuggle buddy weather, right? And you get to watch Taylor Swift there. I don't know, she's playing at a drive-in. Wow. Okay. Let's see. What would you say, Les? Amazing to see the Gulf closed for business in the absence of a southeast ridge like we've seen the past 3 years. Yeah, positive P&A, although P&A is trying to go back toward neutral in the longer term, but we'll get new updates today on that. We'll see if that holds or not for the winter. We really do. If you want to get interesting winter, you want to keep that positive. But we'll see how it plays out. But hey, Les is on it, guys. He's watching it. He is watching for you all. All right, is everyone good? Everyone good? No problems? Oh, Cheryl, about Siberia. We will actually, I think that's mentioned in the winter forecast, if I remember right, will be the Siberian ice extent, snow cover extent will be mentioned. I'm not sure how much detail I'm going to get into, but yes, it always plays the weather and downstream effects for the North American continent, but whether it will here or not, gotta wait and see. All right, guys, that's it. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. Get outside. Enjoy how beautiful it is out there. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Friday the 13th. And we'll take a look at that long-term idea toward Halloween. Let's see what's going on with that.